Just before 8 a.m. on Sunday, December 7, 1941, the calm over Pearl Harbor was shattered. You might know the phrase Pearl Harbor and Roosevelt's Day of Infamy speech. But the full story includes years of tension, warning signs, the attack itself, and how it pushed the U.S. into World War II. This is the full story of Pearl Harbor. In the 1930s, Japan was expanding aggressively in Asia, invading Manchuria and China. The United States, worried about this expansion, imposed economic pressure, including restrictions on oil and other materials Japan needed. By 1941, diplomacy between the U.S. and Japan was at a stalemate. Japan wanted to keep its empire. The U.S. wanted Japanese forces out of China and Indochina. At the same time, the U.S. Pacific Fleet was based at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii as a potential deterrent. Some Japanese leaders, especially Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, believed that war with the U.S. might be unavoidable. They'd planned to strike the U.S. fleet, first hoping a devastating surprise attack would knock America back long enough for Japan to secure its gains. Pearl Harbor, on the island of Oahu, was home to many of America's battleships, cruisers, and aircraft. If those ships could be sunk or crippled in one blow, Japan hoped the U.S. would be forced into a long, costly rebuilding. In late November 1941, a Japanese strike force of 6 aircraft carriers, escorts, and submarines secretly sailed from Japan into the North Pacific, taking the northern route to avoid busy shipping lanes and radio detection. U.S. codebreakers had cracked parts of Japanese diplomatic codes and new tensions were high. But while some warnings were sent out, no one in Washington or Hawaii clearly predicted Pearl Harbor as the exact target and date. December 6th passed quietly in Hawaii. On the evening of the 6th, people in Honolulu and on the bases at Pearl Harbor went to movies, dances, and went to bed expecting a normal Sunday of church, sports, and routine. On Sunday morning, December 7th, many sailors were still sleeping in their bunks. Some were at breakfast, others getting ready for church. Aircraft were parked wingtip to wingtip on airfields to guard against sabotage, not an air attack. Around 7:02 a.m., an Army radar station on Oahu picked up a large group of aircraft coming in from the north. The report was passed to a duty officer, but he assumed it was a flight of U.S. bombers due that morning. The Japanese plan called for 2 main attack waves. The first wave targeted battleships and airfields. The second wave focused on remaining ships and facilities, aiming to cripple U.S. naval and air power in Hawaii. Around 7:48 a.m., the first wave of about 180 aircraft reached Oahu. Torpedo bombers, dive bombers, high-level bombers, and fighters split off toward their assigned targets. When surprise was confirmed, the Japanese strike leader sent the coded message, "Tora! Tora! Tora!" back to the fleet, meaning the attack had achieved complete surprise. Specially modified torpedoes were launched into Pearl Harbor's shallow water, something many American planners had thought impossible. They streaked toward the battleships moored along Battleship Row. The battleships USS Arizona, Oklahoma, West Virginia, California, and others were lined up side by side. Within minutes, they were being hit by torpedoes and armor-piercing bombs. A bomb penetrated the forward part of USS Arizona, detonating her magazines. The resulting explosion tore the ship apart and killed over 1,000 men in seconds, making Arizona the most tragic loss of the attack. USS Oklahoma took multiple torpedo hits in rapid succession. She rolled over and capsized, trapping many crew members inside the overturned hull. While battleships were being hit in the harbor, Japanese aircraft also struck nearby airfields like Hickam, Wheeler, and Ford Island, destroying or damaging hundreds of American planes on the ground. Despite the surprise and chaos, many American sailors and soldiers quickly fought back, manually loading anti-aircraft guns, firing rifles at low-flying planes, and trying to get ships underway or beach them to prevent sinking. A second wave of about 170 Japanese aircraft arrived around 9 a.m., focusing on remaining ships and facilities. By late morning, the attack was over and the strike force turned back toward Japan. In total, more than 2,400 Americans were killed and over 1,000 wounded. 8 battleships were damaged, 4 sunk. Many cruisers, destroyers, and auxiliary ships, along with nearly 200 aircraft, were also destroyed or damaged. Crucially, the American aircraft carriers Enterprise, Lexington, and Saratoga were not in port that morning. They survived and would become the backbone of the U.S. Navy's counter-offensive in the Pacific. The next day, December 8th, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed Congress, calling December 7th a date which will live in infamy and asking for a declaration of war on Japan. Congress approved the declaration of war almost unanimously. Within days, Germany and Italy, Japan's allies, declared war on the United States. What had been a regional conflict now became a truly global war for America. Over the years, some have claimed U.S. leaders let it happen to justify entering the war. Most historians examining documents and timelines conclude that while there were missed warnings and intelligence failures, there's no solid proof of a deliberate standout. Japan achieved tactical surprise and damage, but not everything went as well as it might have. Fuel storage tanks, repair facilities, and submarine bases at Pearl Harbor were left largely untouched, key assets the U.S. used later to recover. Many damaged ships were raised, repaired, and returned to service. By 1943, several of the battleships hit at Pearl Harbor were back in combat, helping bombard beaches and fight in later Pacific battles. USS Arizona was never raised. Today, a white memorial spans over her sunken hull at Pearl Harbor, honoring the more than 1,100 crewmen who died on that ship alone. For Americans, Pearl Harbor became a symbol of shock, sacrifice, and determination, much like later events such as 9/11's. It's still studied today for its lessons on readiness, intelligence, and the cost of underestimating an enemy. If you watched my 1-minute short, the planes diving, the ships burning, that was just the headline. Now you've seen the buildup, the missed signals, the attack itself, the recovery, and how Pearl Harbor changed the whole course of World War II. Tell me in the comments, what part of the Pearl Harbor story surprised you most? The missed radar warning, the damage to the battleships, the fact the carriers weren't there, or how fast the US recovered. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, check out my other deep dive videos, and watch the shorts on my page for quick history in under a minute. I'll see you in the next video.